Two people arrested by Wharton police in connection with a shooting there. A suspected human smuggler stopped in Refugio County. And two vehicle crashes in Jackson County Monday afternoon.
So our heat indices have come down temperature-wise, but they might shoot back up later on in the week. We're going to talk all about that and more, but first, here's Gino.
And the Victoria Generals are taking on the Baton Rouge Rougarou. We'll have the final coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. New at 10, police say multiple people were shot in Philadelphia tonight. A spokesperson for the Philadelphia Police Department says there were multiple gunshot victims, but said no other information on their conditions immediately available. Authorities said a suspect was in custody and a weapon was recovered. 8 people transported to the hospital. Wharton police arrest 2 suspects after a reported shooting in the 1100 block of East Milam Street. Authorities say 18-year-old Leroy Scarlett V and 17-year-old Sean Rivas are in custody, facing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charges. No injuries were reported. The investigation is ongoing. Refugio County Sheriff's deputies arrested a woman on a smuggling of persons charge after a traffic stop on FM 2678 near the Hennessy Ranch. The Refugio County Press reports after a white Chevrolet truck was stopped, 3 people fled the vehicle and escaped into brush. The suspects remain at large. The latest details on mass shootings around the country this holiday weekend. In Baltimore, 2 people killed and at least 28 others wounded in a shooting at a block party. There were also shootings in Wichita, Kansas, and in Chicago.
An urgent manhunt underway in Baltimore. Police searching for the people responsible for unleashing this violence that left at least 2 people dead and more than 24 injured. Authorities in Baltimore now raising reward money in the mass shooting, offering $28,000 for any information leading to the arrests of the people responsible for opening fire early Sunday morning at this block party.
I strongly urge anyone with any information to help us bring these individuals to justice.
Police say 20-year-old Kylie Sfagbemi and 18-year-old Aaliyah Gonzalez were killed and 28 others injured. 7 of them still hospitalized, 4 in critical condition.
Let's not forget that we are talking about human lives. The effects that gun violence has on our community and trauma experienced by all friends, loved ones, and neighbors.
With the urgent manhunt still ongoing, officials urging people to be vigilant as 4th of July celebrations continue.
We want people to do that, but I implore everyone to please be safe.
This woman, who didn't want to be identified, was at the party when the violence broke out. She says 2 girls walked up to her and said they were shot.
You guys jump in my car, let's go. And zoomed them to the hospital, and I kept telling the girl, just baby, just breathe in and out. It was horrible. Families coming in, families crying, families running to the back, families coming out like they had lost loved ones.
Meanwhile, in Wichita, Kansas, 8 people were shot at a nightclub early Sunday morning, 2 in critical condition, a suspect now in custody. And across Chicago, 32 people shot over the weekend, 3 fatally.
We are just over halfway through the year, and so far the Gun Violence Archive says there have been 340 mass shootings. Just to give some context, in 2018 there were 336 mass shootings for the whole year. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Multiple injuries reported after a 1-vehicle crash near Ganado. Jackson County Sheriff's Office reports a rollover on the U.S. Highway 59 feeder road at Loop 522. The vehicle has been removed from the crash scene. Also in Jackson County Monday afternoon, an 18-wheeler with an empty trailer struck the concrete barriers on the Highway 111 South Bridge crossing Lake Texana near Brackenridge Park. The bridge has been fixed. No serious injuries reported at this time. Let's take a first look at your forecast. Filling in for First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pennes, here is meteorologist Howie Gordon. And the night before, on the eve of 4th of July, Howie, we have a super moon out there.
Took a couple pictures out there, some video. It looks very nice. You want to check that out after the broadcast, by the way, but very nice. Nice catch out there, Don, for sure. But here we are, that's right, going to be on the hot side, so ooh-wee, Going to be hotter than a firecracker on the 4th of July with temperatures soaring into the 107-degree range with those heat indices. Here's our heat indices. Speaking of them now, yeah, not as bad as what we saw for weeks and weeks and weeks. But these numbers might shoot up later on in the week. We'll talk more about that. My full forecast coming up. Don?
Howie, thank you. And millions are facing severe weather across the country, from dangerous heat to thunderstorms and flash flooding. All of this happening as people plan to enjoy the 4th of July holiday weekend and also prepare to return home.
As America gears up for Independence Day, severe weather is threatening festivities. Across the east, strong storms rolling through. Take a look at this powerful wind and pounding rain that hit Chester, New York Monday. A drone captured video of another storm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Severe weather leaving a path of destruction. In Tennessee, a massive tree slamming into a home. Fortunately, the people inside not hurt. Then in the Midwest, torrential downpours, 9 inches of rain flooding parts of Chicago this weekend, breaking a record from 1987, according to the National Weather Service. The heavy rain leaving streets impassable and flooding thousands of basements. The mayor of Chicago calling for the full force of the government to aid in recovery.
The memories that exist within our basements, where families gather, photos are stored.
All while extreme heat keeps a grip on much of the country, 13 states under heat alerts.
Yesterday, when I walked, it was oppressive. It was so humid and hot, and it was just very difficult to walk. It was hard to breathe, actually.
Hot weather making it worse in Washington state, where crews are battling a fire that has destroyed homes and canceled upcoming fireworks shows. The Pacific Northwest could see unseasonable triple-digit highs through the 4th of July.
I'm absolutely exhausted.
The weather could become another headache for travelers and lead to cancellations like last week. Nearly 11 million passengers were screened by the TSA over the holiday weekend, with Friday being its busiest day ever. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A man is recovering in the hospital 8 years after he disappeared in Houston. Authorities say Rudy Farias went missing in March of 2015 when he was 17 years old. He was reportedly walking his dogs until his family could not find him. Now they say Farias was found safe, but did not give any information into how or where he was found. Tonight, KTRK reports Farias' mother said he was found with cuts and bruises all over his body and blood in his hair, and she believes he was badly abused and beaten. Authorities in Florida are thinking about charging the parents of children who have drowned. They're specifically looking at 5 drownings that happened recently in the Panama City Beach area. Police say in those cases, parents allowed their children to swim in the Gulf of Mexico despite double red flag warnings. The parents were fined $500, but now they could also face child neglect charges. Authorities say they don't generally resort to such measures.
To me, it's no different than having a fire inside of a house and allowing a kid to go over there that doesn't know any danger to that fire and letting them go over there and get themselves burned, or leaving them home alone with a fire going and something bad happen. You know, it's the adults' responsibility to protect their children.
Drowning's a big problem in that area of Florida. They want to get the word out how dangerous the water can be. All but one of the 5 drownings involved children that were visiting from out of town. This brings us to our viewer poll, your viewer poll, of course, and scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Should parents be held criminally liable for the death of their child by drowning? Yes or no? Let's look at the numbers. 26% of the voters say yes, 74% say no. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. Petty Officer 3rd Class Keandrel Pegg, a Victoria native, serves as a sonar technician with the Hyman G. Rickover, the soon-to-be U.S. Navy's newest ship. Pegg, a 2018 Victoria East High School graduate, joined the Navy 3 years ago. He said his dad served in the Navy for 23 years. Pegg said he joined to follow in his footsteps and, quote, have some great experiences along the way, unquote. Residents have a chance of a place on the 4th of July to pop their fireworks in Victoria. Patriot Park at 16109 Northwest Zach Lentz Parkway will be open for people to pop their fireworks from 5 o'clock p.m. until midnight. Victoria County firefighters will be on standby at Patriot Park 4th of July night. Cuero is hosting a 4th of July celebration at Cuero Municipal Park on Leonard Roy Harmon Drive. It all starts at 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon with a free pool and splash pad, a car show, and a fireworks show starting at 9. 4th of July night. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. That way you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10, a man charged with 2 counts of murder after 6 people found dead inside a South Carolina home. Also ahead, a civil rights group challenging the legacy admissions at Harvard University. Authorities in South Carolina today have charged a man with 2 counts of murder after 6 relatives were found dead inside a home that was on fire. Ryan Manigo is charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder, and prosecutors say there could be further charges. He's being held without bond. On Sunday, the fire department and sheriff's department were called to a report of a stabbing. Once they arrived, a home was in flames and the victims were inside.
Our 911 center received a call that a stabbing had occurred at 779 Folly Creek Lane, Green Pond, South Carolina. That the house was on fire and victims were still inside. When fire rescue and sheriff's office arrived, they found the home was fully engulfed in flames and the only surviving victim was outside the residence. Deputies were able to speak to the survivor, who provided the first name and the description of the suspect and his vehicle. The surviving victim was treated at the scene for cuts and stabs and airlifted to a hospital.
A total of 6 people were found dead. U.S. Ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy visited with wrongfully detained Wall Street journalist Evan Gershkovich on Monday. It was the second visit by U.S. authorities since his arrest in March. Their last visit was back on April 17th. A State Department spokesman said, quote, Ambassador Tracy reports Mr. Gershkovich is in good health and remains strong despite his circumstances, unquote. The visit comes a week after a Moscow court extended his sentence until August 30th. The Supreme Court ended their term with several dramatic decisions, from affirmative action to student debt relief to LGBTQ+ rights. The new rulings are all raising questions about the real-world implications.
As the proverbial dust settles around the United States Supreme Court following a contentious term, the immediate consequences for everyday Americans are becoming more clear.
The Roberts Court these days is more eager to overturn older precedents than any court we've had at least probably in the last century.
In striking down affirmative action programs at Harvard and the University of North Carolina, the court effectively determined colleges and universities can no longer expressly consider race in the admissions process.
It prevents our higher education institutions from using a tool that helps promote diversity on campus.
And while the court suggests the impact of an applicant's race in their life can still be taken into consideration, and proponents of ending affirmative action say it makes the process more fair, many fear diversity in higher education will suffer in the long term.
I'm very concerned about the morale that is going to have on our minority youth.
For those who are already in or have gone to college, the court also struck down President Biden's student loan debt cancellation program, a win for Republican-led states and conservatives who claimed it was illegal.
We're talking about 40 million Americans that are going to be crushed by debt in just a few months.
As the administration works to find a new approach to debt relief, the 3-year pause on loan repayment started during the pandemic is soon expiring. Borrowers will have to resume paying their federal student loans in October, with interest set to begin accumulating again in September. The White House says, however, it will offer a 12-month on-ramp period for borrowers who are re-entering payment.
A civil rights group challenging legacy admissions at Harvard University. The complaint filed today by the nonprofit Lawyers for Civil Rights on behalf of Black and Latino groups in New England. They claim the practice of giving priority admission to children of alumni discriminates against students of color by giving an unfair boost to the mostly white children of former students. The complaint also claims Harvard's admission system violates the Civil Rights Act. A severe storm in central Alabama caused power outages, fallen trees, and wind damage on Sunday. An oak tree fell on one home in Gadsden, hitting the roof and smashing a nearby car.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I had just come out that front door to look at the weather, see how bad the weather was. I no sooner turned around, got inside, and then this happened. So 5 seconds is about all it took. It's about the difference time. I would have been in the hospital or wouldn't be here at all.
On a nearby highway, a shaved ice business had its roof blown off. Nearby, Pell City reported almost 3 inches of rainfall within 1 hour.
Temperatures came down a little bit, but they might shoot back up later on in the week. We're going to talk all about that straight ahead. Temperatures have been oppressive around here for several weeks, but nothing tops one of our favorite holidays because, ooh-wee, it's going to be a hot little firecracker on the 4th of July with heat indices at 107 degrees. Coming down a little bit from where we've seen, but still very much on the hot side. So hot and humid, rain chances increase, cooler for a few days. Now, a lot of this is under discrepancy here. I'm going to try to break it down over the next 3 minutes. We did make it to 98 degrees today, so our temperatures haven't come down too much. It's just with less moisture, our heat indices have started to drop. 102 back in 1917. Now, we had some 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts earlier because we actually had some rain and some storm activity. They didn't last very long. Overall, wind staying about 5-10, maybe 15 miles per hour when you get over there on the coast. Okay, dew points. We were 82 for the better part of the last 2 to 3 weeks, 80, 81, 82. Now still on the high side along the coast. Some spots, though, in the 60s and the lower 70s. Now those are very good high numbers, but we've been so much on the higher side, them coming down a little bit, that's allowed for our heat indices to start to drop. Because this time of night, we're 100 plus in many locations, but in the heat of the day, we were 117, 118, 119. We were right around 100, 101, 102 today. So our numbers have come down. They look to go up during the week, though. But again, that's under discrepancy. I'm going to have to break that down because we get some other variables that are going to be coming into play. All right, looking ahead, here's what we got for our heat index calculated temperatures, 107, 106. We're looking at some Saharan dust. When that dust comes in here, that's going to block out sunlight. That is going to cool us down. That's also going to stabilize the atmosphere. So the rain that we were supposed to have with moisture and disturbances moving into the area, that might not be able to rise to occasion as well, again, from that Saharan dust. All right, high pressure out there in the eastern Gulf, high pressure up there in the Pacific Northwest. The movement of these systems is pushing the water and the moisture into South Texas. And yes, we saw some showers today, a little help with the sunshine, help with the sea breeze, and some lift. Now disturbances will start to push into the area as well. But the thing about it is, if we see some of that Saharan dust, that might slow down or completely stifle our rain activity. It did for many weeks last year, especially with storms, tropical storms, and hurricanes, and it's looking to maybe do so again with our first little stint of that Saharan dust. Here's our future tracker. Here's what we have. So maybe by that Wednesday, Thursday timeframe, yeah, we could see some heavy showers. Again, it's going to come down to a timing thing because if the dust does move in there, it might slow down the progression of these rain showers. Okay, here's the dust I'm talking about. All right, every year, this is basically the storm track, the hurricane track down there from the Sahara Desert. All these plumes and particulates and dust gets caught up in the upper atmosphere and makes its way across the oceans and heads our way. And by Wednesday morning, yeah, we're going to look at some of this Saharan dust. Again, this dust, what does it do? It stabilizes the atmosphere, blocks out sunshine, disrupts weather patterns in terms of circulation, and we can't see those showers, and yet we stay on the dry side and maybe even on the cooler side. Here's a look at our marine forecast. 90 for that water, seas around 2 to 3. Going to keep it on the choppy side. Nothing at the moment for storm activity. With that dust headed our way, might slow those storms down even further. So 77 overnight, and then for tomorrow, for the 4th, 95 with a heat index of 107. So that's right. Ooh-wee, it's going to be hotter than a firecracker on the 4th of July. And then as the week moves along, look what happens. Maybe some rain chances that will knock our ambient temperatures down just a little bit. For more weather, news, and sports, go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free with any Android and iPhone. We go to the matching tie guy. That's right, Gino with sports.
Thanks, Howie. Two familiar soccer clubs meet in the group stage, and we will detail why these two are rivals coming up after the break. Howdy Crossroads. Well, there were two storylines tonight. The first is an impressive offensive performance by the Generals, but the other is Braylon Owens. The Rougarou threw a no-hitter against the Generals a few weeks ago, but this time Owens wanted to give them a taste of their own medicine. In the 6 innings Owens pitched, he had a no-hitter going with 10 strikeouts. Once Owens was taken out, the Rougarou showed some life and scored 2 runs. It was a minor comeback, but the Generals still held a commanding lead. The Generals go on to win 8 in a row by a margin of 12-3. The Generals did most of their dirty work in the first 2 innings, scoring a total of 9 runs heading into the top of the 3rd. The Generals took care of business, but will have to face the #1 ranked team in the TCL, the Brazos Valley Bombers, Thursday at 7 in Victoria at Riverside Stadium. The United States men's national team took on the Trinidad and Tobago over the weekend, and the Americans take on TNT. There's always a little extra motivation since the United States was eliminated from the World Cup contention by Trinidad and Tobago in 2018. The United States got off to a hot start, scoring in the 14th minute. Jesus Ferreira puts it into the back of the net with the score 1-0 USA. The United States would go on a strike again, and this time it was a cross with some tomfoolery going around before finally getting put in the back of the net. USA goes up 2-0. The Americans would go on to a scoring spree and win 6-0, and Ferreira had a hat trick to go along with the win. The Argentine soccer superstar Lionel Messi is earning $50 to $60 million per year when he joins Inter Miami. The lowest of those figures would make him the highest paid soccer in the MLS by over $40 million. Messi will get a cut from the profits of the MLS broadcasting deal with Apple TV and the team's kit sales from Adidas. The managing owner noted that Apple TV stipulation was very important in the implementation of the agreement. Messi is reported due to make his debut for the club in June 21st against the Mexican side, Cruz Azul. Well, it's a battle between 2 Texas teams in the MLB. The Texas Rangers hosting the Houston Astros in Arlington. McCormick got things rolling when a deep fly ball went over left center field to take a 1-0 lead. And it looked as if the Astros were going to stroll on to another victory after Tucker hits this grand slam in the 2nd inning. But the Rangers said not so fast, and they fought all the way back after being down multiple runs. This home run right there would get the game within 5, but then this one would go on to win the game. The Houston Astros go on to win and leave with a victory to avoid disaster. Final score 12-11 Astros. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, Tesla shares rose by 5% today. It was so electric. Shot up 5% today. The company reported sales of more than 400,000. That's almost double the sales recorded for the same quarter last year. While the price of the Tesla was continuously cut, this is the 5th period the company built more cars than it sold. Okay, tonight we have the supermoon. Tomorrow night is 4th of July. Wednesday we have Saharan dust. Not much going on, really.
And I think I'm going to hold off on that test. I'm going to get the flying car instead.
Well, the flying car. Oh, wow. Okay.
That one's in the works. But yeah, we talked about dust. We talked about heat. What's going on? Let's take a look at that dust. So yeah, it's coming across the ocean just like the hurricanes do. Same storm track. And by Wednesday morning, we're going to see some of that dust. That's bad for asthma sufferers. I'm one of them. At the same time, that likes to stabilize the atmosphere. So slows down rain progression, slows down storm development, also reflects sunlight and sunshine. So yeah, temperatures can be on the cooler side. 77 overnight. Then for tomorrow, up to 95 for 4th. And then looking ahead later in the week, can see some rain chances, Don.
Thank you, Howie, and thanks for joining us. 25 News Now at 10. Join Carolina and Trey Mining. 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Have a safe and happy 4th of July, everybody.